guys, it's Reagan and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be chatting through my October TBR, and this video is sponsored in part by Disney Book Group. Now for the month of October, I'm not gonna lie, constructing this TBR was so hard. I feel like I'm being pulled in so many different directions vibe-wise with what I want to read. So I kind of just pulled a bit of everything and hoping some of it sticks. Nonetheless, I am very excited to read everything I've picked out this month. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. The first two books I'm going to chat about are two new and upcoming releases from Rick Riordan and Rick Riordan Presents. I have been a longtime fangirl, lover of Rick Riordan and the Rick Riordan Presents series, made clearly by the entire shelf I have dedicated to him as an author. But I have two new titles I'm thrilled to chat about today and also looking forward to picking up myself. The first is The Cursed Carnival and Other Calamities, new stories by Mythic Heroes, and this is out in stores now. And this is a short story collection. One of the stories is by Rick himself, with the other stories being written by so many of the incredible authors under the Rick Riordan Presents umbrella, featuring stories from some of our favorite heroes, from Arusha to Sal and Gabby. And basically this is an anthology featuring all new stories and quests from so many of our favorite characters we know and love already, and also tracking across so many different countries and mythologies to enjoy as well. Not to mention, this anthology features a story from a new hero, which I'm very excited to encounter for the first time. But yes, this is the first book on my TBR and it is out in stores now. And the second book, I cannot wait for it to arrive in my mailbox. I cannot wait to pick it up because I feel like it's going to be a new favorite. And that is Daughter of the Deep by Rick Riordan. And this officially goes on sale on October 26th. And this is a new story, a new kind of mythos inspiration by Rick Riordan, as this is a story inspired by 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And truly everything about this really excites me and I cannot wait to pick it up. I just love Rick Riordan and I love middle grade stories, and this one just sounds absolutely magical. But this follows our main character Anna, and she is a freshman at Harding Pencroft Academy, which is a 5-year high school program which graduates the world's best marine scientists, navigators, naval warriors, and underwater explorers. Unfortunately, before the start of the story, Anna's parents tragically passed away in an exploration accident 2 years prior. The only family she has left is her older brother Dev, who's also a student at HP. At the beginning of the story, Anna and her classmates are really excited. They're about to go on the yearly weekend trial at sea, which the details of which have been kept secret up until this point. On the bus ride over to the ship itself, Anna and her classmates witness a tragedy which will change the trajectory of their lives. And to make matters worse, Anna also discovers that HP has been in the midst of a Cold War with their arch nemesis, Land Institute, which has transformed into a full boil. And now Anna and her classmates have to work together to fight against deadly enemies and prevent themselves from being turned into fish food. This just sounds like the first book to an incredible new series. It's got a school setting, it's got friendship, it's got adventure. Truly, what more could you want? Again, this comes out October 26th. I will be counting down the days and I cannot wait, so obviously it's added to my October TBR. Again, big shout out to Disney Book Group for sponsoring this video. If you guys want to learn more about those two new titles, I will have a link down below for you guys to check out. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the other books I hope to read this month as well. Alrighty, the first book I just want to chat about and get out of the way is the book I am determined to read this month. In fact, I hope to marathon read it and also kind of vlog the experience, as it's one I know a lot of you guys are interested in, and that is The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan, the first book to the Wheel of Time. I'm really trying to read the first two books before the series premieres later this year, so it feels about time to finally pick this book up. I know it's been a long time coming. I'm sorry that it's taken me so long to get to this point, but I'm looking forward to starting out on this classic tale of good versus evil, dark versus light, yada yada yada. But basically, I feel like this is a story where we follow a young boy on the brink of manhood, kind of a chosen one trope, kind of thrust in the midst of an adventure to save the world as he knows it. Honestly, I'm really curious to see how I feel about this book. I'm looking forward to reading The Wheel of Time, and I definitely think I'm going to like it, but I'm not sure like how much I'm going to like it. I'm not sure if this is going to feel more like a obligation to read because I know it's really important, or if I'm gonna fall in love with it and fall into it head first. I feel like the first couple of books I hear are a bit slower, but it does pick up by the end. So yeah, I'm just curious to see how I feel about this. and kind of experience it along with you guys, and also hear your opinions throughout the reading of this as well. But this is my #1 priority for the month of October. It will be read. And honestly, I can't wait. Next up, I have quite a bit of murder vibes. I have been really into kind of a mystery kick. I really have been liking detective stories, just murder mystery. And in the months of October and November, I really want to add a bit of atmosphere into that equation. There are so many new releases coming out that I just cannot wait to pick up. So some of those new releases are in this TBR, and one of them is A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. I've heard so many excellent things about this book, and this is kind of a dark academia, queer, YA murder mystery story set in a remote boarding school. Like, all of those things call out to me immediately, and I just feel like it will be the perfect October read. At least I'm hoping it will be. And this appears to be a dual perspective story. And one of our main characters is Felicity, and she has attended the Dalloway boarding school for her entire high school academic career. It's tucked away in the Catskill Mountains and has all the trappings of a classic sort of academia vibe. It's got ivy-covered brick, it's got dark and twisty pathways, it's got creaking floors, it's got ghost stories. Felicity has spent a year away from the school after the tragic passing of her girlfriend, but now she's returned and is looking forward to finally graduating and also trying to stay away from the dark and mysterious paths of the school as well. However, she is staying in her own dorm, which is known for being haunted by 5 Dalloway students who were killed systematically one after another, and also were known as witches. No matter how hard she tries, Felicity keeps finding herself drawn into the occult past of this school, especially once she meets the new girl Ellis, who is a method writer who has also amassed a pretty dedicated following by the age of 17, and she is looking to write her new next story and intends to use Dalloway as her inspiration. Again, this really has so many elements I personally love. A dark and eerie school setting, ghosts, magic. Also, it appears there's going to be a romance. I also hope this is kind of dark and twisted and perhaps a little toxic, but we shall see. Again, I've heard really good things about this, and this is a newer release, so I picked it up and I intend to read it right away. The next book you might recognize from my fall TBR, and that is The Forest of Stolen Girls by June Her. This is an obvious pickup for me. I've been looking forward to this. I've actually been saving it for the fall season, so it's finally time where I can finally read it, and I cannot wait. I read June Her in Silence of Bones last year and loved it so much. So I have really high expectations, and I'm really looking forward to picking up her newer release from this year. But this is set in 1426 in the Joseon era, and we follow Hwani, and her family have never been the same since her and her sister disappeared in the forest near their home, to later be discovered in the same forest near a gruesome crime scene. Years later, Detective Min, Hwani's father, discovers that 13 girls have disappeared since within that same forest. He decides to travel back to their old home on Jeju Island to try to solve this mystery, but he himself then goes missing. From there, Hwani decides to travel back to Jeju herself to, one, discover what happened to her father and hopefully save him, but also to try to solve the mystery of these missing girls. Again, I can't wait. I feel like June Her perfectly combines elements of history as well as thriller, and her writing itself was absolutely intoxicating in The Silence of Bones, so I just feel like this is going to be an absolute winner for me. I love historical thrillers / historical mysteries. They tend to be my favorite, and this, I hope, is also going to be very atmospheric and spooky, so obviously on my TBR. Next book is another release from this year that I have been saving for this time of year, which honestly is kind of a bad habit. I do that a lot. I'm like, oh, this book would be perfect for winter. I'm not gonna read it. And then by the time winter rolls around, not only do I want to read that book I've been saving, there's also all these new releases that have come out that I want to read, and I turn around and I have 70 books on my TBR. But nonetheless, I've been saving this book, and that is The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. This just sounds like another atmospheric historical story with a dash of fantasy, which in general I always love. I'm just a sucker for that setup. I also feel like this will perhaps have a bit of mystery with a dash of sinisterness in there, but we shall see. But this is a dual timeline story, which I also find really intriguing. It's set in the past, but also the present. And I believe the narratives will kind of parallel each other as it culminates on one specific mystery to be revealed, if that makes sense. Hidden in the depths of 18th century London lies an apothecary shop, which caters to an unusual clientele. Women all across London whisper of a mysterious figure named Nella, who will sell well-disguised poisons to them to deal with the oppressive men in their lives. Nella's dark world is no place for her newest client, Eliza, a precocious 12-year-old girl. Slowly, these two women become connected. Their unexpected bond will leave a string of consequences that will echo through centuries to come. Fast forward 200 years later, we follow Caroline, who's an aspiring historian who stumbles upon a vial that seems to be connected to a very old apothecary within the city. Grappling with the recent betrayal of her husband, Caroline is looking for a lead that she can fall headfirst into. And so begins her search of uncovering the history of Nella and Eliza and the pursuit of a mystery that has transcended time itself. This just sounds really intriguing. I love this sort of apothecary setup. I feel like this will have a high chance of being very atmospheric. Again, I have been saving this ever since I got my hands on it, and I'm really looking forward to reading it, and I hope I love it very much, but time will tell. Next two books are very witch-centered. I have just been wanting to read all the books about witches and magic and all of that. The first is A Secret History of Witches, which is a book that's been around for quite a while and one I've owned for a super long time. So I'm really looking forward to finally getting to it this month. The actual synopsis on the back of this book is pretty vague, which in general I don't mind. I kind of like going to books blind sometimes, but it seems to be a sweeping historical saga following one family over many generations of women and their ties to magic and also the danger of their magical inheritance. And we see this story told through the lives of different mothers and daughters in this family. I'm really hoping this is very character-led. I hope it has a lot of historical kind of detail and ambiance, and in general I love family sagas, so a family saga that has magic at the heart of it really calls out to me. And again, this is one that is very, very popular, and I just want an emotional, enthralling journey to kind of break up some of the murder I'm reading this month. You know? Speaking of wanting a bit of a lighter read, the next book that's on my TBR is a pre-order that I don't physically have in my hands yet, but I am so looking forward to, and that is Paybacks, a Witch. And this is basically a rom-com contemporary story, but with a Halloween ambiance as we follow a witch kind of going back to her hometown, wanting to get revenge on her previous boyfriend, instead falling in love with somebody else. I mean, what more could you want? It's said to be Sabrina meets the L Word, and honestly, it just sounds adorable and a great thing to kind of, again, break up some of the darker reads I have been reading. This follows our main character, Emmy, and she is a witch, but not a very powerful one. This is in part due to the fact that she has been away from home, which is also kind of the source of her power for many years, trying to carve her own path. This was also in part due to a messy breakup with her previous boyfriend, and she has not been home since. However, at the beginning of the story, she has decided to pack her bags and visit her family to also partake in a family tradition and magical competition. However, on her first night back in town, she runs into Talia, who happens to be the woman her boyfriend cheated on her with, unbeknownst to Talia herself. So the two girls decide to work together and hatch a plan to get their mutual revenge. But as they begin to spend more time together, their feelings for each other begin to grow. I mean, again, the setup just sounds so much fun. Magic, the family, the small town setting. I can't wait. I think it's gonna be adorable and just like a perfect, lighter Halloween read. Next up are two books from two series I've really enjoyed reading throughout the year and just want to continue the momentum I have with reading them. The first is The Mime Order by Samantha Shannon. I reread the Bone season and honestly really enjoyed the experience. It was a really fun kind of fantasy dystopian-esque story. It definitely had trappings of a 2010 story, but one, I've heard really good things about the future books in the series, and two, I still enjoyed the Bone season very, very much, and I'm looking forward to see how it continues to unfold plot-wise, because I feel like it can go in so many different directions based on the Bone season's ending. And in the story, we primarily follow our main character, Paige, and in this fantasy world, any type of magical ability is considered illegal, and basically once you're discovered to have a type of clairvoyance, it's called, you are immediately arrested. And Paige, our main character, has a very rare form of clairvoyance, and she's able to do something called dream dream walking, which allows her to kind of enter into other people's minds and even possibly control them. Given having a clairvoyant power is very dangerous, many individuals kind of group together and work in the underground and often work for people called Mime Lords, which are kind of like gang leaders. The first book, Paige is arrested and basically is in this brutal prison camp, but also begins to uncover and understand some mysterious elements of her government and also the root of all of the magical abilities in their world. And again, the end of the first one was super explosive, and I feel like we're gonna have a lot more like underground politics in this one, which I'm really looking forward to, because I would say that was my favorite element of this world and book. I really love the sort of Mime Lord, Mime Queen, kind of fighting over territory. I'm looking to have a bit more of world building in that arena of this story, so very much looking forward to picking up this. I feel like I'm going to like this second one even more than the first one, which is also just a good feeling going into a second book in a series. But yes, this is also on my October TBR. And then next up, I also have The Hod King by Josiah Bancroft. This has been on a few TBRs of mine throughout the year, and I just have not gotten to it, and I'm really mad at myself for it because I was on a bit of a roll with the first two. I read them both so quickly, loved them so much, so I really want to continue on with my reading of this, as the fourth one does come out later this year, so I want to be able to kind of marathon the whole series this year, so I just have to stay focused. But this is a really dark and whimsical adult fantasy story. I kind of describe it to people like, if you really enjoy middle grade and the bizarreness that you sometimes encounter in middle grade, but you're wanting something much darker with much more intense politics, check out this series, the Senlin Ascends series. It has such a literary quality to its writing, but it still has really interesting world building, and overall the story is just so imaginative. The first one is called Senlin Ascends, and it opens on our main character Senlin basically traveling to this mythical thing called the Tower of Babel. He's dreamed of visiting it his entire life. It's this ginormous tower full of so many people, so many floors, and it's very easy to get lost in. And unfortunately for him and his wife arrive for their honeymoon, and they quickly get separated within an hour of being there. And now Senlin has entered this tower on a quest to try to locate his lost wife. And this quest has really evolved throughout the first two books. Not only is it a really dark and harrowing story, but just the expansiveness and the explosiveness of this tower is truly fascinating. So I'm looking forward to picking up The Hod King. I really want to at least start it this month, because I don't know, I don't want to fall too far behind. So this is on my TBR as well. And then the last book I'm just gonna quickly mention because it's a bit embarrassing and I don't want to talk about it for too long. Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. I haven't finished this yet. I'm over halfway through though, so we're making progress. I don't know why this book is taking me so long. I'm definitely not prioritizing it. I'm reading it between books because it's fantastic. I'm loving it. Rhythm of War is great so far. I love all the scientific elements to it and the feature of some characters that we normally don't get a highlight on. But no, I haven't finished it yet, but I did make progress in the month of September. I'm over halfway through now, so I've just gotta keep my eye on the prize and finish this book. But I'm not gonna speak too much on it because I've talked about this book a lot and it's been on like every TBR I've had for the past like 5 months, but you know, that's all right. Hey guys, those are all the books I hope to read for the month of October. Let me know down below some books you've read recently, as I would love to know, and I will see you guys soon with another video soon. Goodbye!